So the iPad Pro is probably the most redundant piece of tech I've ever owned. And for a time, I did use it as a laptop replacement. I used it for emails, I used it for a ton of stuff that I would normally do on my laptop. And it just felt like it took more effort, more energy out of me, and I felt far less productive trying to get stuff done quickly and work through my to-do list. This just really didn't help. And then I came to realize my biggest problem: the Magic Keyboard. Yes, this is an absolute mistake. If you own an iPad Pro and like me, you think that you can buy one of these and your iPad suddenly turn into this productivity beast, you're probably going to experience the same thing I experienced. And look, I totally get it. The thought of having one of these with an iPad gives you the best of both worlds. You can both use the touch screen and enjoy a touchpad and keyboard, which is actually pretty nice. The keyboard experience and everything, it's really, really good. However, if you do fork out the extortionate amount of money it costs to get one of these, I think there are two things that you need to consider. The first thing is, why did you buy an iPad? Because if you bought your iPad to touch it and to actually take advantage of holding it and to use the touchscreen, this is probably the worst thing you can buy, because you'll often find that 90% of the time you aren't touching the screen at all. You're just looking at the screen and treating it like a laptop. And then ironically, all of the magic of the iPad disappears with the Magic Keyboard. And the other thing is, because it doubles up as a pretty good case, it covers both back and the front, and it's really secure in there. Once it's in here, you then find it really hard to justify taking it out, particularly as you spent all this money on it. But also, nobody wants naked tech, right? So the fact that this doubles up as a case means you get stuck in this cycle of constantly keeping it in here, but then not using an iPad, in my opinion, in the way it's intended to be used. So I've decided to sell my Magic Keyboard because, I'm making a whole video on basically how it destroys your experience with an iPad Pro. I do still use my iPad for other stuff, which I'll go into, but for really serious workflows, I'm only going to use my MacBook Pro. So I've gotten rid of my Magic Keyboard and I've replaced it with this very, very nice iPad Pro case from Pitaka, who very kindly sent me out a bunch of their products, which have completely transformed how I use this device. Look how thin my device is, having put it in a case, and this thing is absolutely rock solid. I now feel like my iPad is no longer naked when I'm walking around with it, which is really important because I don't want it to get scratched. I often sell my tech after a while, and I like to sell it saying that it's in really, really great condition. I absolutely love it, and there's space for the Apple Pencil as well, and it really just encourages you to hold your iPad, to use it as it's intended to be used. And where it shines is that it's also compatible with other Pitaka products, like this Pitaka iPad Pro Folio case, which again has increased my productivity on the iPad tenfold in the last few weeks. It works even when this case is on the iPad, which is super cool because now I have this origami style folding iPad case that allows me to use my iPad as a stand when consuming media, or I can lie it down at an angle so I can start drawing and using my iPad with an Apple Pencil more comfortably. By the way, I use Apple Notes pretty much for all of my Apple Pencil needs. I love the quick note functionality, and in the latest iPad OS, I really love the feature that corrects your messy handwriting. That for me is a godsend because I have the worst handwriting. So actually using the Apple Pencil Pro with the iPad now has been such a pleasure to use. Now I've liberated it from the Magic Keyboard accessory. So yeah, I'd say my iPad spends like 25% of its time in this. It spends the entire time in this, and it spends the rest of its time on an iPad stand, which, yes, you guessed it, is from Pitaka. Genuinely, I've been looking for a good stand for a long time to see if actually using my iPad alongside a monitor helps with my workflows, and I can say it really has. I use it both with universal control, so having my iPad on and just using it as an iPad, being able to scroll my mouse across the screen onto my iPad and open things up like my to-do list or my calendar, or just having my emails open at all times on one dedicated screen has been really helpful for me. I've also found extending my screen really handy as well. So extending my MacBook monitor setup to have a smaller second screen for me has been really useful because I'm often on video calls, I'm often training people, and I often have PowerPoint up on my main monitor. So having a secondary monitor in which to have a look at my presentation notes. Certainly for me, has made me feel more productive when I'm delivering training online. So I love the way something as simple as an iPad stand can make such a difference to your experience working and delivering value to people. And just as a bonus, the base of the Pitaka stand has a wireless charger built in. And that 2-in-1 functionality is fantastic because it just means I have fewer things on my desk. So thanks again for Pitaka for sending me out both the case, the folio, and the stand. They've all come in really useful, and the links to all of those things are in the description box below if you're interested in trying one of these products for your workflows. So overall, I think how you use your iPad Pro really depends on how you accessorize it. It's a device that with a Magic Keyboard, I really struggled to integrate into my daily life. But now I feel like I can't really live without this device. But what do you think? Do you use an iPad Pro in a similar way to I do? Have you struggled using a Magic Keyboard? Let me know in the comments box below. And if you like this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to see more tech or productivity content, you know what to do. Until the next one, stay productive.